Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming, leaves the sheep and runs away. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice, so there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father. The word of the Lord.
Well, hello, and welcome to St. Peter and Jane's Parish here in beautiful Trenton, Ontario, Canada. Germ-free, of course. This week we celebrate the Good Shepherd Sunday. In fact, the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, has an ironic observation I think is appropriate for this weekend and for this time of the world of our lives. He writes, "The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator. The wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty." How about that? I'll say it one more time, because it's very true. The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator. The wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Now I mention this because, in truth there is a sheep and a wolf inside all of us. One side of us wants to prudently restrict our freedom so as to act like children of God. Another side of us rebels against restriction of our freedom, so to cling onto vice, which ironically ultimately enslaves us. Now, for those of you who are into music, I like the simple way that Bono of U2 put it when he sings, "In New York, freedom looks like too many choices." I think that is putting the finger on something very true that affects our spiritual journey. In New York, in Western society, in the strip malls, on the internet, in our relationships, freedom can look like, way too many choices. And not all of them are good for you. Every so often we wake up recognizing that we have failed. We can't shepherd ourselves. We need better shepherding in our lives. Well, the gospel reading this weekend reminds us that if we're going to be part of Jesus' flock, we must know his voice and listen to him. And this means listening to him even when we do not want to, especially if the wolf inside of us would rather howl. Now, Jesus not only describes himself as a shepherd, but Jesus describes himself as the good shepherd who lays down his life for his sheep. And this is the good news if we are sold on the idea of being like sheep in the eyes of our Lord. Now, on the other hand, this can be a tough message for us, at times, because when it comes down to it, American culture, North American culture, Canadian culture, who want to be a sheep? And if we're honest with ourselves, the analogy of being a sheep doesn't seem very attractive, does it? Anybody who's been around sheep will tell you that, they're heavy, they're awkward, and sometimes they're even kind of dim-witted, and times it can smell pretty bad. What I find attractive about this analogy, however, is that, all the things that we deal with in life, a lot of times they're heavy and awkward and stupid and smelly. In fact, in the Bible, what does Jesus do with the sheep that are awkward or stupid or, whatever, smelly? Well, guess what? Jesus, the Good Shepherd, takes that sheep, places it over his shoulders, and leads the sheep back to safety into the heart of a living, breathing community of faith in our church. Jesus is the Good Shepherd who knows and loves sheep. Jesus is the good shepherd who will even lay down his life for his sheep. That is what we are celebrating during this Easter season. You know, the challenge this Sunday, I think, is to consider, do we really want all this? Do we really want Jesus to embrace us like he embraces that sheep? Or do we want to kind of find the wolf more attractive? Remember, like Abraham Lincoln observed, the shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator. But that darn wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. And in our culture, our freedom at times kind of looks like it has so many choices, and not all of them are good for us. So now let me make a few suggestions for the coming weekend. Maybe the coming week, maybe the coming months, whatever. At some time in the next few days, most of us will find ourselves kind of surfing the internet or maybe checking out websites or watching television, whatever. As you do, take a little time to just categorize what you've been reading or viewing or whatever, and put them into 3 categories. Those 3 categories are, number 1, is it good for my soul? Is number 2, is it, maybe neither good nor bad for my soul? And number 3, really bad for my soul. Now try it sometime this coming week. I think it's a good reminder for us. You can also perform this assignment next time. Maybe you visit them all when they're open, or maybe they are in your region. When they open up, or maybe when you're surfing on the web or whatever. As you wander or surf or watch, as you observe everything, maybe people that are being peddled, whatever, you can categorize this or that as either being good for your soul, neither good or bad for my soul, or just plain bad for my soul. And during those moments, we can have a conversation with Jesus. We can listen to his voice calling us to a better pasture, calling us to better decisions and choices, calling us to what will ultimately make us happier in this life and in the next. If we choose, again, it boils down to that problem of freedom, doesn't it? Yeah, if we use freedom well, it's a blessing that leads to God. If we use that freedom poorly, we can run into some real problems. Friends, each and every one of us has a lamb and a wolf inside of us. We're challenged this week, the time of our lives, time of the world, to consider how society defines personal freedom and how Christ defines personal freedom. For one definition can shepherd us to destruction, but a better definition can shepherd us to salvation through Christ. Father Tim, God bless.